Welcome to today's explainer. Get ready because we're looking at an absolutely adrenaline-pumping, totally overpowered anti-hero journey that literally redefines the meaning of leveling up. We're talking about a story that seamlessly blends epic fantasy survival with grim, modern-day street vengeance, and then eventually escalates into, well, literal intergalactic warfare. If you love a protagonist who doesn't just beat the system but completely breaks it over his knee, you are absolutely in the right place. Let's get into it. Okay, let's dive into this because the premise here is just wildly absurd. Imagine being a regular middle school student. You're walking down the street, thinking about graduation, when suddenly you trip and your soul just plunges straight down to the underworld. No warning, no tutorial, nothing. Our protagonist, Han Dae-sung, spends 80 grueling years battling for his life in a dimension of literal nightmares, only to defeat the final boss and suddenly snap back to reality. But as we're about to see, reality isn't exactly what he expected.
Part 1. 80 Years in Hell.
To understand exactly what makes Dae-sung so terrifyingly overpowered, we first need to look at what he endured. Let's rewind to his accidental descent into the underworld. His chronological journey is just brutal. Year 1, Dae-sung is a terrified human kid hiding from ferocious beasts, eventually forced to consume raw, rotten monster meat just to stay alive. It's a total loss of humanity. But he adapts. By year 24, he's strong enough to effortlessly one-shot the creatures that used to hunt him, and he even crafts a sword from a slain dragon knight. By year 51, he's taking down an elder dragon, and finally, in his 80th year, he literally walked right up to the demon lord who dragged him there in the first place, slaughters his guards, and claims the title of absolute ruler of hell.
Part 2. Waking up to a nightmare.
So, just as he's demanding answers from the demon lord with his sword drawn, he's violently ripped away. He wakes up in a hospital room, transitioning from an epic, dark fantasy back to a grim, street-level reality. The contrast here is just heartbreaking. Dae-sung goes from the peak of physical godhood, the absolute ruler of a demonic dimension, to waking up trapped in the atrophied, frail body of a coma patient. He can barely even move. For a second, he actually thinks his entire 80-year struggle in hell was just a lucid dream. The crushing reality hits him when his friend Shanho explains the timeline. While 80 years passed for Dae-sung, in hell, exactly 10 years have passed on Earth. For a whole decade, he's been lying in a vegetative state. And during that time, his mother was forced to work 3 jobs, and his younger sister Ju dropped out of school, all just to pay off insurmountable medical debts to some very, very ruthless loan sharks. His family has literally been living in absolute misery while he was gone. Part 3. Vengeance and Reclaiming Power. So, the crucial point is, how does Dae-sung react? Well, he doesn't despair. He gets angry. Luckily, he still has his system, the magical interface that helped him survive in hell. He immediately begins grinding quests to pull his hell-tier powers into his frail earth body. At first, it's pretty pathetic. He literally has to drag his weak body to a wheelchair just to hit a waypoint in time to earn a healing elixir. But soon he's back to fighting towering, crying demons. The absolute peak of this training arc is setting a random quest to Hell difficulty, which spawns a perfect replica of his peak demon lord self. It's a brutal, fast-paced fight where Dae-sung pulls these amazing 200 IQ plays, like chugging stamina tonics mid-fight, to outlast his clone. By defeating it, he achieves a 100% implementation rate. That basically means his frail earth body has completely synchronized with his demonic soul, restoring him to absolute peak condition. And he gets his strength back just in the nick of time. Loan sharks show up at his house and physically assault his mother. Dae-sung drops his frail act and unleashes a highly satisfying, lightning-fast beatdown. He obliterates a wooden chair with his bare fist, twists a thug's arm like it's Play-Doh, and drops a bone-chilling line, "Leave no witnesses." He absolutely refuses to let his family be victims anymore. But he doesn't stop at the foot soldiers. Using his new Shadow Wraith skill, Dae-sung teleports directly into the local gang's headquarters. He systematically dismantles the entire mob, confronts their giant, muscle-bound boss, and beats him so badly the guy practically begs for his life. Dae-sung walks away with their entire secret safe containing over 500 million won. And in a hilarious display of his completely disconnected priorities, he immediately goes to a mall and drops straight cash to buy a couple of the newest foldable smartphones. Part 4. Breaking the Hunter Scales. As Dae-sung steps back out into the world, he realizes Earth has completely changed. While he was in his coma, dimensional gates fractured across the globe, pouring out monsters, and humanity now relies on hunters who wield aura weapons. Daesung gets his first taste of this new reality when a gate fracture happens right in front of him and his friend Chanho. While normal human weapons are totally useless against these beasts, Daesung effortlessly beheads them barehanded. He's practically swatting them away like flies, completely ignoring this greedy live streamer who's trying to film him for donation money. He proves instantly that his raw, physical Demon King strength is vastly superior to high-tier aura weapons. Now, what's really interesting is how the world's institutions simply cannot comprehend him. Chanho convinces Daesung to get officially ranked to the Hunter Association. When Daesung places his hand on their magic measuring sphere, it doesn't just glow a single color. It shimmers a rainbow, cracks, and violently explodes. The hilarious panic of the staff that ensues as he proceeds to blow up 3 consecutive unmeasurable crystal spheres is amazing. The device simply cannot handle his power level. And right after this, we get an incredible cliffhanger moment. A female assassin from a rival faction called the Hongma clan has Daesung in her sniper crosshairs. She fires an aura-infused bullet right at his forehead. Instead of dodging, he takes it straight to the skull, without a single scratch. Terrified, she runs, but Daesung teleports behind her, extracts the information he needs, and ruthlessly eliminates the threat. This brings us to the incredibly addictive power scaling of the story. Through completing Pantheon quests, which involve insane tasks like fighting divine machines in a forest and slaying a gargantuan guardian serpent, Daesung builds a ridiculously overpowered arsenal. He masters the Shadow Wraith for teleportation and stealth. He acquires the Soul Prison, an artifact from the Ghost King that lets him summon an army of the dead. And he reclaims his signature weapon, the Hellfire Great Sword, a blade that slices through massive beasts like they're butter. Part 5. War Against the Gods. Let's move ahead and see how this builds, because at this point, the stakes escalate exponentially. We transition from street-level thugs and rival human clans to literal cosmic warfare. First, Daesung has to deal with a Hongma clan's secret weapon, an A-ranker named Ginchul, who has been injected with a highly unstable, mind-breaking monster serum. Ginchul is supposed to be the ultimate super soldier. Daesung obliterates him without breaking a sweat, proving that human clan rivalries and their genetic experiments are completely beneath him. But the real threat isn't human at all. Alien titans and angelic celestials start invading Earth to harvest ether energy. Daesung finds himself clashing with terrifying bishops, a colossal chaos titan bound in an underground altar, and these freaky snake-like angelic celestials. With his extreme speed and an army of immortal shadow minions summoned from his soul prison, he meets these apocalyptic threats head-on. It's just non-stop, chaotic, cinematic action. To fight literal gods, Daesung basically levels up into a deity himself. He absorbs celestial energy, granting him abilities that completely break the laws of physics. We're talking time stop, time reverse, literally sending projectiles right back at the sender. And he even claims Satan's right eye, plucking it and using it to copy enemy attacks and nullify magic. This fully cements his status as the absolute strongest being in the galaxy. This all builds to an unbelievable climax. Daesung unlocks the dimensional key and literally bulldozes his way into the celestial realm. He crashes the celestial palace like a human comet, bending administrators to his will, and confronts the ultimate bosses of the universe, including the veiled Supreme Lord Rudra. I mean, think about it. He has gone from a frail coma patient to a being who makes the gods themselves tremble. But here is the brilliant resolution to the whole shebang. After defeating the greatest threats in existence, Daesung is offered supreme rulership over the cosmos. Does he take it? No way. He just wants some peace and quiet. He accepts a highly customized job as an intergalactic janitor to occasionally clean up cosmic messes, and we finally see our overpowered anti-hero in a sharp outfit, sipping cocktails on a secluded beach, just living his best life. Which leaves us with a fascinating final thought. If you had the raw, unstoppable power to conquer the universe, would you choose to sit on the throne and rule it all, or would you take the beach vacation and just clean it up when things get messy? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and I will leave you to ponder the ultimate burden of absolute power. See you next time.